So the next crafts I wanted to go over are, one is incredibly simple, one is quite hard. So the first one, that's quite easy one, is gonna be how to get the Abyss Jewels, how to craft them. We go with this base. This base is the easiest base to craft them on because the mods that we're looking for is the attack speed after we crit. Because we have a 100% chance to crit, the attack speed is really nice to have. And the reason it's good on this base is because there is only one or two, I think, attack mods on this base, and one of the attack mods being the attack speed when you crit. So to make these, it's very simple. All we do is we go to harvest, we spam the reforge attack, and what we're looking for is to get the mod. And then if you get something like this where you get the mod and one other useless mod, you want to annul it off. So if we annul it off and then we just either slam on the extra mod, so if we annul off the useless fizz damage spells and we have this base, from here you can either double slam it on the boat, or because it's so cheap to get to this point, you can either just normal slam it and then boat slam for the last mod. It's exactly how I made my jewels. So there we go. This is perfect. But all we do from this now is you go onto the boat and you slam on the last mod. Anything that's good in the prefixes here, because we have one open, would be flatty yes. I suppose you can look for damage. Anything along those lines would be more than good enough. And it's the quickest way and the easiest way to make these jewels. So now let's get into the tougher craft, which is gonna be the helmet. I'm gonna do this in Craft of Exile, so let's get into it. For the tougher craft, like I was saying, this craft is definitely not cheap to make, and they're quite expensive to buy on trade. So kind of weigh up the odds whether you want to craft it yourself or just buy it off trade. So what we first need to do is we need to get a double influence base for Crusader and Hunter. The reason we go for Crusader and Hunter is for a few reasons. One, for the percent intelligence, and for the Bound by Destiny for the percent increase from that jewel as well. So once you have your double influence base, the way to make this is going to be fossil spamming, which is quite expensive to do. You can use the boat, but again, if you're using the boat, you're going to use up a lot of your intangibility, which you kind of want to save for the prefixes. So the fossils that we use are going to be hollow to get the abyssal socket, corroded so we can block out all the elemental resistances that are going to be on it, which help increase our chance of getting the attributes that we want. So it's going to be hollow, corroded, sanctified. Where is it? Sanctified, and I think the last one that we want to use is fundamental. That's right, yep, fundamental is the last one that we want to use. So what we're looking for here is we're looking for either T2 flat intelligence or T3 and percent intelligence. The reason we're looking for either T2 or T3 on the flat intelligence is because with this base that you'll have in game, you'll have strands on it. So we're looking for about 70 to 75 strands before we start crafting this. It just will help us get the suffixes to the T1s that we want. Now, it's not guaranteed to hit them, but it'll definitely improve our chances and probably save us money in the long term instead of fossil spamming for T1 or T2. So we're just gonna have to keep going with the fossils until we get something like this where we hit T1 it says T1 intelligence, but it's not actually T1 intelligence. We have a T9 int, that's too low, we're not going to use that, so we have to keep going until we get something. Even T5 is a bit low, because you really don't want to settle for anything that's like under T3, because then putting it up to T1 is going to be a lot harder to do. And as you can see, we're already through quite a few fossils before we even get in the mods that we want, which is why this is pretty expensive. T4 again is too low for us to bother. So I'll be back once we have something like this. It actually won't be going anywhere. This is perfect. I got really lucky because actually it was quite quick in terms of how many we used. So once you have your base like this, you would want to beast lock your suffixes with the Wild Bishop Matron. I can't lock here, I don't think. Maybe I can do. No, I can't lock here. So we're gonna just do the normal way of we're gonna lock our suffixes. If we lock our suffixes, and then what we do is just put that mod on. You want to scour the item. Once you have your suffixes locked, scour. The reason we scour this and we still have the strands on the item, this is where we use the strands if we did not hit T1 on the flat intelligence to try boost them up. If we already did hit them, we don't need to worry about anything. But this is actually a bit low. I think this rolls higher before. Just gonna double check that. Yeah, so I was right. 68 for the percent intelligence is actually T3, not T2. So we would want to use the strands that would have been on this item to boost them with unraveling. If you're able to boost this up to T2 technically, because COE is actually wrong on this, what you would do is once you boost it up to the actual T2, you would have to lock your suffixes again using the beast. And this is where we either reforge, there's three options that we have. Reforge influence for another influence mod so we can orbit Dom. Reforge cold or fire, because both of those will give you have a good chance of giving you another influence mod. And then once we do that, so I'm just going to do fire, for example. Reforge fire. And we got another hunter mod. There you go. There's the other influence mod that we hit right there. So once we have this, what you want to do is you're going to try to hit a 50-50 on your orbit doms. If this hits the prefix that we don't want, it's back to fossil spamming. Or yeah, it will be back to fossil spamming. It won't be back to your imprint. So this hit it perfectly. So this is actually still T2. It's not T1 as COE says. But for the example, we're going to go with that. Once this is done, it's quite simple to get the prefixes depending on what you want to get. You would start by blocking off one of the mods that you don't want that have the highest weight. So if you don't want mana, mana has the highest weight on these helmets. You block out mana. If you want mana, you block off the second one, which is life. So any low tier crafted life would be more than enough. So we'll be looking at literally any of the tiers for life, don't really matter. We'll be looking whatever we want to craft onto it. Once we craft onto it, it's going to be just double exalting. Now you could double exalt normally, or you could double exalt on the boat, or you could Foulborn exalt on the last prefix if you want, if you already have one good one or two good ones. It all kind of comes down to what you want in the end, how much you're willing to spend. Because already to get to this point could easily cost you about 100 divines, if not more, if you're a bit unlucky in the whole process. This is how to make this helmet. This is not as easy as it looks. I would definitely probably look at buying them if you're not too fussed about elevated intelligence. If you're just going looking for T2, mine is T2 at the minute. I'm not really interested in putting up to T1. It's not really, doesn't make that much of a difference for my build at this point. So that's how you make the jewels and the helmet. So any questions, let me know.